Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Okay. Reading from Sri Caitanya-caritamrta, Chapter 3, Antya-lila, Chapter 3, and we're starting with verse 259. So we're almost finished with this chapter. The Maya Devi, the personified material energy, is speaking to Haridasa Thakur after he delivered her from her attempt to make him fall down. Please give me the holy name of Krishna, and thus make me fortunate, so that I may also float in the flood of love of Godhead inaugurated by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. After speaking in this way, Maya worshipped the lotus feet of Haridasa Thakur, who initiated her by saying, just perform chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. That's the complete spontaneous platform. He initiated her just by saying that. Purport. Now even Maya wanted to be favored by Haridasa Thakur. Therefore, Haridasa Thakur formally initiated her by asking her to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Gopi Pranadhana Prabhu made a very profound comment that in the Caitanya-caritamrta, Lord Chaitanya asks everybody to chant Hare Krishna. And then he said, therefore, everybody has been initiated in the universe by Lord Chaitanya. And that's how come they can chant Hare Krishna.
What a broad idea.
Yeah. After thus being instructed by Haridasa Thakur, Maya left with great pleasure. Unfortunately, some people have no faith in these narrations. If we don't feel ecstasy when we read these books, it means our faith is not yet completely pure. Our doubts are not yet completely removed. Therefore, I shall explain the reasons why people should have faith. Everyone who hears this will be faithful. That's why the room should be filled up. During the incarnation of Lord Chaitanya to inaugurate the Krishna consciousness movement, even such personalities as Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and the four Kumaras took birth upon this earth, being allured by ecstatic love of Lord Krishna. All of them, including the great sage Narada and devotees like Prahlad, came here in the guise of human beings, chanting the holy names of Lord Krishna together and dancing and floating in the inundation of love of Godhead. The goddess of fortune and others, allured by love of Krishna, also came down in the form of human beings and tasted the holy name of the Lord in love. What to speak of others, even Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, personally descends to taste the nectar of love of Godhead in the form of the chanting of Hare Krishna. What is the wonder if the maidservant of Krishna, his external energy, begs for love of Godhead? Without the mercy of a devotee and without the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, love of Godhead cannot be possible. In the activities of Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, the three worlds dance and chant, having come in touch with love of Godhead. This is the characteristic of his pastimes. The holy name of Krishna is so attractive that anyone who chants it, including all living entities, moving and non-moving, and even Lord Krishna himself, becomes imbued with love of Krishna. This is the effect of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. I have heard from the mouth of Raghunath Das Goswami all that Swarup Damodar Goswami recorded in his notes about the pastimes of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. I have briefly described those pastimes. Whatever I have written is by the mercy of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, since I am an insignificant living being. I have described but a fragment of the glories of Haridasa Thakur. Hearing this satisfies the oral reception of every devotee. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Sri Caitanya-caritamrta following in their footsteps. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of Sri Caitanya-caritamrta, Antya-lila, 3rd chapter, describing the glories of Haridasa Thakur. Chapter 4. Sanatana Goswami visits the Lord at Jagannath Puri. Vrindavanat punak praptam Shri Goda Shri Sanatanam Deha patat avansnehat Shuddham chakre parikshaya. When Sanatana Goswami returned from Vrindavan, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu affectionately saved him from his determination to commit suicide. Then, after testing him, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu purified his body. Jai Jai Sri Caitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Lord Chaitanya, all glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Chandra, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. When Srila Rupa Goswami returned from Jagannath Puri to Bengal, Sanatana Goswami went from Mathura to Jagannath Puri to see Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Sanatana Goswami walked alone on the path through the Jharikanda forest in central India. Sometimes he fasted, and sometimes he would eat. I missed a verse, didn't I? I think I missed a verse. Maybe not. I'll start in 3. When Srila Rupa Goswami returned from Jagannath Puri to Bengal, Sanatana Goswami went from Mathura to Jagannath Puri to see Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Sanatana Goswami walked alone on the path through the Jharikanda forest in central India. Sometimes he fasted, and sometimes he would eat. Because of bad water in the Jharikanda forest, and because of fasting, Sanatana Goswami contracted a disease that made his body itch. Thus he was afflicted with itching sores from which fluid oozed. In disappointment, Sanatana Goswami considered, I am of a low caste and my body is useless for devotional service. When I go to Jagannath Puri, I shall not be able to see Lord Jagannath, nor shall I always be able to see Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. I have heard that the residential quarters of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu are near the temple of Jagannath, but I shall not have the power to go near the temple. The servants of Lord Jagannath generally move about tending to their duties, but if they touch me, I shall be an offender. Therefore, if I sacrifice this body in a good place, my unhappiness will be mitigated and I shall attain an exalted destination. During the Rath Yatra festival, when Lord Jagannath comes out of the temple, I shall give up this body under the wheel of his car. After seeing Lord Jagannath, I shall give up my body under the wheel of the car in the presence of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. This will be the highest benediction of my life. Having made this resolution, Sanatana Goswami went to Nilachala, where he asked directions from people and approached the residence of Haridasa Thakur. He offered his respects to the lotus feet of Haridasa Thakur, who knew him and thus embraced him. Sanatana Goswami was very eager to see the lotus feet of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore Haridasa Thakur said, "The Lord is coming here very soon." At that very moment, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, after visiting the temple of Jagannath to see the offering of Upalabhoga, morning refreshments, came with his other devotees to see Haridasa Thakur. Seeing Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, both Haridasa Thakur and Sanatana Goswami immediately fell flat like rods to offer obeisances. The Lord then lifted Haridasa and embraced him. Haridasa Thakura said to Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, "Here is Sanatana Goswami offering his obeisances." Seeing Sanatana Goswami, the Lord was greatly surprised. When Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu came forward to embrace him, Sanatana backed away and spoke as follows: "My Lord, please do not touch me. I fall at your lotus feet. I am the lowest of men, having been born of low caste. Besides that, I have infections on my body." Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, however, embraced Sanatana Goswami by force. Thus the moisture oozing from the itching sores touched the transcendental body of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord introduced all the devotees to Sanatana Goswami, who offered his respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of them all. The Lord and his devotees sat on a raised platform, and below that sat Haridasa Thakur and Sanatana Goswami. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu inquired from Sanatana about news of his well-being. Sanatana replied, "Everything is auspicious because I have seen your lotus feet." When the Lord asked about all the Vaishnavas at Mathura, Sanatana Goswami informed him of their good health and fortune. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu informed Sanatana Goswami, "Srila Rupa Goswami was here for 10 months. He left for Bengal just 10 days ago. Your brother Anupam is now dead. He was a very good devotee who had firm conviction in Raghunath, Lord Ramachandra." Sanatana Goswami said, "I was born in a low family, for my family commits all kinds of irreligious acts that violate the scriptural injunctions. My Lord, without hatred for my family, you have accepted me as your servant. Only by your mercy is there good fortune in my family. From the very beginning of his childhood, my younger brother Anupam was a great devotee of Raghunath, Lord Ramachandra, and he worshipped him with great determination. He always chanted the holy name of Raghunath and meditated upon him. He continuously heard about the activities of the Lord from the Ramayana and chanted about them. Rupa and I are his elder brothers. He stayed with us continuously. He heard Srimad Bhagavatam and talks about Lord Krishna with us, and both of us examined him. 'Dear Balaba,' we said, 'please hear from us. Lord Krishna is supremely attractive. His beauty, sweetness, and pastimes of love are without limit. Engage yourself in devotional service to Krishna with the two of us. We 3 brothers shall stay together and enjoy discussing the pastimes of Lord Krishna.' In this way we spoke to him again and again, and because of this persuasion and his respect for us, his mind turned somewhat towards our instructions. Vallabha replied, 'My dear brothers, how can I disobey your orders? Initiate me into the Krishna mantra so that I may perform devotional service to Lord Krishna.' After saying this, at night he began to think, 'How shall I give up the lotus feet of Lord Raghunath?' He stayed up all night and cried. In the morning he came to us and submitted the following plea: 'I have sold my head at the lotus feet of Lord Ramachandra. I cannot take it away. That would be too painful for me. The two of you, please be merciful to me and order me in such a way that life after life I may serve the lotus feet of Lord Raghunath. It is impossible for me to give up the lotus feet of Lord Raghunath. When I even think of giving them up, my heart breaks.' Upon hearing this, we each embraced him and encouraged him by saying, 'You are a great saintly devotee, for your determination in devotional service is fixed.' In this way we praised him. 'My dear Lord, the family upon which you bestow even a little mercy is always fortunate, for such mercy makes all miseries disappear.' Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu said there was a similar incident concerning Murari Gupta. Formerly I examined him, and his determination was similar. Glorious is that devotee who does not give up the shelter of his Lord, and glorious is that Lord who does not abandon his servant." This is a quote from Lord, I think it's Hanuman, I think. Anyway, maybe we'll find out. If by chance a servant falls down and goes somewhere else, glorious is that master who captures him and brings him back by the hair. That means he grew his hair out. So it is very good that you have arrived here. Now stay in this room with Haridasa Thakur. Both of you are expert in understanding the mellows of Lord Krishna's devotional service. Therefore you should both continue relishing the taste for such activities and chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Having said this, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu got up and left, and through Govinda he sent prasadam for them to eat. In this way, Sanatana Goswami stayed under the care of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. He would see the wheel on the pinnacle of the Jagannath temple and offer respectful obeisances. Every day, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu would go there to meet these two stalwart devotees and discuss topics of Krishna with them for some time. The offerings of prasadam in the temple of Lord Jagannath were of the highest quality. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu would bring this prasadam and deliver it to the two devotees. One day, when the Lord came to meet them, he suddenly began speaking to Sanatana Goswami. My dear Sanatana, he said, if I could attain Krishna by committing suicide, I would certainly give up millions of bodies without a moment's hesitation. You should know that one cannot attain Krishna simply by giving up the body. Krishna is attainable by devotional service. There is no other means for attaining him. Acts such as suicide are influenced by the mode of ignorance, and in ignorance and passion one cannot understand who Krishna is. Unless one discharges devotional service, one cannot awaken one's dormant love for Krishna, and there is no means for attaining him other than awakening that dormant love. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Uddhava, neither through Astanga Yoga, the mystic yoga system for controlling the senses, nor through impersonal monism or an analytical study of the absolute truth, nor through study of the Vedas, nor through austerities, charity, or acceptance of sannyas, can one satisfy me as much as by developing unalloyed devotional service unto me. This verse is from Srimad Bhagavatam 11, 14, 20. Measures like suicide are causes for sin. A devotee never achieves shelter at Krishna's lotus feet by such actions. Because of feelings of separation from Krishna, an exalted devotee sometimes wants to give up his life, but by such ecstatic love, however, one attains the audience of Krishna, and at that time he cannot give up his body. One who is deeply in love with Krishna cannot tolerate separation from the Lord. Therefore, such a devotee always desires his own death. O lotus-eyed one, great personalities like Lord Shiva desire to bathe in the dust of your lotus feet to drive away ignorance. If I do not get the mercy of your lordship, I shall observe vows to reduce the duration of my life, and thus I shall give up bodies for hundreds of births, if it is possible to get your mercy in that way. Purport. This verse was spoken by Rukmini Devi in Srimad Bhagavatam. Rukmini Devi, the daughter of King Bhishmaka, had heard about Krishna's transcendental attributes, and thus she desired to get Krishna as her husband. Unfortunately, her elder brother Rukmi was envious of Krishna, and therefore wanted her to be offered to Shishupal. When Rukmini became aware of this, she was greatly aggrieved. Thus, she wrote Krishna a confidential letter, which was presented and read to him by a Brahmana messenger. This verse appeared in that letter. O dear Krishna, by your smiling glances and melodious talk, you have awakened a fire of lusty desire in our hearts. Now you should extinguish that fire with a stream of nectar from your lips by kissing us. Kindly do this. Otherwise, dear friend, the fire within our hearts will burn our bodies to ashes because of separation from you. Thus, by meditation, we shall claim shelter at your lotus feet. Purport. This verse, Srimad Bhagavatam 10:29-35, was spoken by the gopis when they were attracted by the vibration of Krishna's flute in the moonlight of autumn. All of them, being maddened, came to Krishna, but to increase their ecstatic love, Krishna gave them moral instructions to return home. The gopis did not care for these instructions. They wanted to be kissed by Krishna, for they had come there with lusty desires to dance with him. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Sanatana Goswami, "Give up your nonsensical desires, for they are unfavorable for getting shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. Engage yourself in chanting and hearing. Then you will soon achieve the shelter of Krishna without a doubt." A person born in a low family is not fit for discharging devotional service to Lord Krishna, nor is... Excuse me, I read that wrong. Again. A person born in a low family is not unfit for discharging devotional service to Lord Krishna, nor is one fit for devotional service simply because he is born in an aristocratic family of brahmanas. Anyone who takes to devotional service is exalted, whereas a non-devotee is always condemned and abominable. Therefore, in the discharge of devotional service to the Lord, there is no consideration of the status of one's family. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is always favorable to the humble and meek, but aristocrats, learned scholars, and the wealthy are always proud of their positions. One may be born in a Brahmana family and have all 12 Brahminical qualities, but if in spite of being thus qualified, he is not devoted to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, who has a navel shaped like a lotus, he is not as good as a Chandala, who has dedicated his mind, words, activities, wealth, and life to the service of the Lord. Simply to take birth in a Brahmana family or to have Brahminical qualities is not sufficient. One must be a pure devotee of the Lord. Thus, if a Shwapacha or Chandala is a devotee, he delivers not only himself, but his entire family as well. Whereas a Brahmana who is not a devotee, but simply has Brahminical qualifications, cannot even purify himself. What to speak of his family? This verse is from Srimad Bhagavatam 7:9-10. Among the best ways of executing devotional service, the 9 prescribed methods are the best. For these processes have great potency to deliver Krishna and ecstatic love for him. Purport. The 9 kinds of devotional service are mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma, Nivedanam. These 9 are hearing, chanting, remembering Krishna, offering service to the Krishna's lotus feet, offering worship in the temple, offering prayers, working as a servant, making friendship with Krishna, and unreservedly surrendering to Krishna. These 9 processes of devotional service can grant one Krishna an ecstatic love for him. In the beginning, one has to discharge devotional service according to regulative principles. But gradually, as devotional service becomes one's life and soul, one achieves the most exalted position of ecstatic love for Krishna. Ultimately, Krishna is the goal of life. One need not have taken birth in an aristocratic Brahmana family to attain the lotus feet of Krishna, nor is a person born in a low family unfit for achieving Krishna's lotus feet. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Devahudi says to Kapila Dev, Aho batta shapacho togadi yan yaj jivagre vartate nama tubhyam tapustapaste juhuvu sasnur arya brahmanu chur nama grinanti te. O my Lord, even a person born in a low family of dog-eaters is glorious if he always chants the holy name of the Lord. Such a person has already performed all types of austerities, penances, and Vedic sacrifices, He has already bathed in the sacred rivers and has also studied all the Vedic literature. Thus he has become an exalted personality. Similarly, Kunti Devi says to Lord Krishna, Janmaishwarya Shruta Shri Bir Edamana Madak Puman Naivarhat Yabidat Tum Vai Twam Akinchana Gocharam. A person who is proud of his birth, opulence, knowledge, and beauty cannot achieve your lotus feet. You are available only to the humble and meek, not to the proud. Of the 9 processes of devotional service, the most important is to always chant the holy name of the Lord. If one does so, avoiding the 10 kinds of offenses, one very easily obtains the most valuable love of Godhead. Purport. Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhu gives the following directions in his Bhakti Sandarbha. Chanting the holy name is the chief means of attaining love of Godhead. This chanting or devotional service does not depend on any paraphernalia, nor on one's having taken birth in a good family. By humility and meekness, one attracts the attention of Krishna. That is the verdict of all the Vedas. Therefore, if one becomes very humble and meek, he can easily attain the lotus feet of Krishna in this age of Kali. That is the fulfillment of all great sacrifices, penances, and austerities, because when one achieves ecstatic love of Godhead, he attains the complete perfection of life. Therefore, whatever one does in executing devotional service must be accompanied by chanting of the holy name of the Lord. The chanting of the holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, has been praised by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Namastaka, verse 1. Nikila Shruti Mauli Ratnamala, Jyuti Nirajidapada Pankajanta, Ayi Muktukular Upashyamanam, Paritas Tvam, Harinama Sangshayami. O Harinam, the tips of the toes of your lotus feet are constantly being worshipped by the glowing radiance emanating from the string of gems known as the Upanishads, the crown jewels of all the Vedas. You are eternally adored by liberated souls such as Narada and Shukadev. O Harinam, I take complete shelter of you. Similarly, Srila Sanatana Goswami has praised the chanting of the holy name as follows in his Brihad Bhagavatamrita 119. Jayati, Jayati, Namananda Rupam Murarer, Vidamita Nijadharma, Dhyana Pujadi Yatnam, Katam Abhisukrit Atam, Muktidam Praninam Yat, Paramamamritam Ekam, Jivanam Bhushanam Me. All glories to the all-blissful holy name of Sri Krishna, which causes the devotee to give up all conventional religious duties, meditation, and worship. When somehow or other uttered even once by a living entity, the holy name awards him liberation. The holy name of Krishna is the highest nectar. It is my very life and my only treasure. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadev Goswami says, Etan nirvidyamananam ichatam akato bayam yoginam nripanirnitam harer namanukirtanam. O King, constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord after the ways of the great authorities is the doubtless and fearless way of success for all, including those who are free from all material desires, those who are desirous of all material enjoyment, and those who are self-satisfied by dint of transcendental knowledge. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Yamaraj says, Etavan evalokesmin pungsang dharma padak smritaha bhakti yogo bhagavati tan nama grahanadibihi. Devotional service, beginning with the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, is the ultimate religious principle for the living entity in human society. Similarly, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu has said in Shikshastaka, Trinadapi sunichena tarodapi sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtani yaksada hari. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Regarding the 10 offenses, in chanting the holy name, one may refer to Adi-lila, chapter 8, verse 24. After hearing this, Sanatana Goswami was exceedingly astonished. He could understand, my decision to commit suicide has not been greatly appreciated by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Sanatana Goswami concluded, Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, who knows everything, past, present, and future, has forbidden me to commit suicide. He then fell down, touching the lotus feet of the Lord, and spoke to him as follows. My Lord, you are the omniscient, merciful, independent, supreme Lord. Exactly like an instrument of wood, I dance as you make me do so. I am lowborn. Indeed, I am the lowest. I am condemned, for I have all the characteristics of a sinful man. If you keep me alive, what will be the profit? Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu said, your body is my property. You have already surrendered unto me. Therefore, you no longer have any claim to your body. Why should you want to destroy another's property? Can't you consider what is right and wrong? Your body is my principal instrument for executing many necessary functions. By your body I shall carry out many tasks. You shall have to ascertain the basic principles of a devotee. Devotional service, love of Godhead, Vaishnava duties, and Vaishnava characteristics. You will also have to explain Krishna's devotional service, establish centers for cultivation of love of Krishna, excavate lost places of pilgrimage, and teach people how to adopt the renounced order. Mathura Vrindavan is my own very dear abode. I want to do many things there to preach Krishna consciousness. Purport. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to accomplish many purposes through the exegetical endeavors of Srila Sanatana Goswami. First, Sanatana Goswami compiled a book called Brihad Bhagavatamrita to teach people how to become devotees, execute devotional service, and attain love of Krishna. Second, he compiled the Hari Bhakti Vilas, wherein he collected authoritative scriptural injunctions regarding how a Vaishnava should behave. Only by the endeavors of Sri Sanatana Goswami were all the lost places of pilgrimage in the Vrindavan area excavated. He established Madan Mohan, the first deity in the Vrindavan area, and by his personal behavior he taught how one should act in the renounced order, completely devoted to the service of the Lord. By his personal example, he taught people how to stay in Vrindavan to execute devotional service. The principal mission of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu was to preach Krishna consciousness. Mathura and Vrindavan are the abodes of Lord Krishna. Therefore, these two places are very dear to Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and he wanted to develop their glories through Sanatana Goswami. By the order of my mother, I am sitting here in Jagannath Puri. Therefore, I cannot go to Mathura Vrindavan to teach people how to live there according to religious principles. I have to do all this work through your body, but you want to give it up. How can I tolerate this? At that time, Sanatana Goswami said to Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. No one can understand the deep ideas you plan within your heart. A wooden doll chants and dances according to the direction of a magician, but does not know how he is dancing and singing. My dear Lord, as you cause one to dance, he dances accordingly. But how he dances and who is causing him to dance, he does not know. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu then said to Haridasa Thakur, My dear Haridas, please hear me. This gentleman wants to destroy another's property. One who was entrusted with another's property does not distribute it or use it for his own purposes. Therefore, tell him not to do such an unlawful thing. Haridasa Thakur replied, "We are falsely proud of our capabilities. Actually, we cannot understand your deep intentions. Unless you inform us, we cannot understand what your purpose is or what you want to do through whom. My dear sir, since you, a great personality, have accepted Sanatana Goswami, he is greatly fortunate. No one can be as fortunate as he." Thus Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu embraced both Haridasa Thakur and Sanatana Goswami, and then got up and left to perform his noon duties. "My dear Sanatana," Haridasa Thakur said, embracing him, "no one can find the limits of your good fortune. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu has accepted your body as his own property. Therefore, no one can equal you in good fortune. What Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu cannot do with his personal body, he wants to do through you, and he wants to do it in Mathura. Whatever the Supreme Personality of Godhead wants us to do will successfully be accomplished. This is your great fortune. That is my mature opinion. I can understand from the words of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu that he wants you to write books about the conclusive decision of devotional service and about the regulative principles ascertained from the revealed scriptures. My body could not be used in the service of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, although it took birth in the land of India, this body has been useless." Purport. For a further explanation of the importance of Bharata Bhumi, one may refer to the Antya-lila 941 and also Srimad Bhagavatam 519, 19 through 27. The special feature of a birth in India is that a person born in India becomes automatically God conscious. In every part of India, especially in the holy places of pilgrimage, even an ordinary, uneducated man is inclined toward Krishna consciousness, and as soon as he sees a Krishna conscious person, he offers obeisances. India has many sacred rivers, such as the Ganges, Yamuna, Narmada, Kaveri, and Krishna. And simply by bathing in these rivers, people are liberated and become Krishna conscious. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu therefore says, "Bharata bhumite haila manusya janmajar, janma sartika kari karapada upakar." One who has taken birth in the land of Bharata Bhumi, India, should take full advantage of his birth. He should become completely well versed in the knowledge of the Vedas and spiritual culture, and should distribute the experience of Krishna consciousness all over the world. People all over the world are madly engaging in sense gratification, and in this way spoiling their human lives, with the risk that in the next life they may become animals or less. Human society should be saved from such a risky civilization and the danger of animalism by awakening to God consciousness, Krishna consciousness. The Krishna consciousness movement has been started for this purpose. Therefore, unbiased men of the highest echelon should study the principles of the Krishna consciousness movement and fully cooperate with this movement to save human society. Sanatana Goswami replied, "O Haridasa Thakur, who is equal to you? You are one of the associates of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, you are the most fortunate." The mission of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, for which he has descended as an incarnation, is to spread the importance of chanting the holy name of the Lord. Now, instead of personally doing so, he is spreading it through you. My dear sir, you are chanting the holy name 300,000 times daily and informing everyone of the importance of such chanting. Some behave very well, but do not preach the cult of Krishna consciousness, whereas others preach, but do not behave properly. You simultaneously perform both duties in relation to the holy name by your personal behavior and by your preaching. Therefore, you are the spiritual master of the entire world, for you are the most advanced devotee in the world. Sanatana Goswami clearly defines herein the bona fide spiritual master of the world. The qualifications expressed in this connection are that one must act according to the scriptural injunctions and at the same time preach. One who does so is a bona fide spiritual master. Haridasa Thakura was the ideal spiritual master because he regularly chanted on his beads a prescribed number of times. Indeed, he was chanting the holy name of the Lord 300,000 times a day. Similarly, the members of the Krishna consciousness movement chant a minimum of 16 rounds a day, which can be done without difficulty, and at the same time they must preach the cult of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu according to the gospel of Bhagavad Gita as it is. One who does so is quite fit to become a spiritual master for the entire world. In this way, the two of them passed their time discussing subjects concerning Krishna. Thus they enjoyed life together. During the time of the Rath Yatra, all the devotees arrived from Bengal to visit the car festival, as they had done previously. During the Rath Yatra festival, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu again danced before the car of Jagannath. When Sanatana Goswami saw this, his mind was astonished. The Lord's devotees from Bengal stayed at Jagannath Puri during the 4 months of the rainy season, and Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu introduced Sanatana Goswami to them all. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu introduced Sanatana Goswami to these and other selected devotees: Advaita Acharya, Nityananda Prabhu, Srivas Thakur, Vakreshwar Pandit, Vasudev Datta, Murari Gupta, Raghava Pandit, Damodar Pandit, Paramananda Puri, Brahmananda Bharati, Sarup Damodar, Gadadhar Pandit, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Ramananda Roy, Jagannananda Pandit, Shankar Pandit, Kashishwar, and Govinda. It's like the who's who of Navadvip. The Lord asked Sanatana Goswami to offer obeisances to all the devotees in a way that befitted them, each one. Thus he introduced Sanatana Goswami to them all, just to make them an object of their mercy. Actually, that was devotees. That list was from both Navadvip and Jagannath Puri, his most confidential associates. The Lord asked Sanatana Goswami to offer obeisances to all the devotees in a way that befitted each one. Thus he introduced Sanatana Goswami to them all, just to make him an object of their mercy. Sanatana Goswami was dear to everyone because of his exalted qualities and learning. Suitably, therefore, they bestowed upon him mercy, friendship, and honor. When all the other devotees returned to Bengal after the Rath Yatra festival, Sanatana Goswami stayed under the care of the lotus feet of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. This is why I'm so attached to this Antya-lila, because it particularly focuses on this, how the devotees should think about one another and speak about one another and act toward one another. And everything becomes possible by that mentality, by that behavior. When all the other devotees returned to Bengal after the Rath Yatra festival, Sanatana Goswami stayed under the care of the lotus feet of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Sanatana Goswami observed the Dolayatra ceremony with Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. In this way, his pleasure increased in the company of the Lord. Sanatana Goswami had come to see Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri during the month of April-May, And during the month of May-June, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tested him. In that month of May-June, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to the garden of Yameshwar, Lord Shiva, and accepted prasadam there at the request of the devotees. At noon, when it was time for lunch, the Lord called for Sanatana Goswami, whose happiness increased because of the call. At noon, the sand on the beach was as hot as fire, but Sanatana Goswami came by that path. Overwhelmed by joy at being called by the Lord, Sanatana Goswami did not feel that his feet were burning in the hot sand. Although the soles of his feet were blistered because of the heat, he nevertheless went to Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. There he found that the Lord, having taken his lunch, was resting. Govinda gave Sanatana Goswami the plate with the remnants of Lord Chaitanya's food. After taking the prasadam, Sanatana Goswami approached Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. When the Lord inquired, "By which path have you come?" Sanatana Goswami replied, "I have come on the path along the beach." Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, "How did you come along the beach where the sand is so hot? Why didn't you come by the path in front of the Singadwara gate? It is very cool." Purport. Singadwara refers to the main gate on the eastern side of the Jagannath temple. The hot sand must have blistered your soles. Now you cannot walk. How did you tolerate it? Sanatana Goswami replied, "I did not feel much pain, nor did I know that there were blisters because of the heat. I have no right to pass by the Singadwara, for the servants of Jagannath are always coming and going there. The servants are always coming and going without interval. If I touch them, I shall be ruined." Purport. Herein it is very clearly indicated that priests performing deity worship should be careful to keep themselves completely pure and not be touched by outsiders. Sanatana Goswami and Haridasa Thakura, thinking themselves mlechas and yavanas because of their past association with Muslims, did not enter the temple or even travel on the path in front of the temple gate. It is customary for the priests of temples in India not even to touch outsiders or enter the deity room after having been touched. This is a very important item in temple worship. Having heard all these details, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, greatly pleased, spoke as follows. "My dear Sanatan, although you are the deliverer of the entire universe, and although even the demigods and great saints are purified by touching you, it is the characteristic of a devotee to observe and protect the Vaishnava etiquette. Maintenance of the Vaishnava etiquette is the ornament of a devotee. If one transgresses the laws of etiquette, people make fun of him, and thus he is vanquished both in this world and the next. By observing the etiquette, you have satisfied my mind. Who else but you could show this example?" After saying this, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu embraced Sanatana Goswami, and the moisture oozing from the itching sores on Sanatan's body smeared the body of the Lord. Although Sanatana Goswami repeatedly forbade Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu to embrace him, the Lord still did so. Thus his body was smeared with the moisture from Sanatan's body, and Sanatan became greatly distressed. Thus both servant and master departed for their respective homes. The next day, Jagadananda Pandit went to meet Sanatana Goswami. When Jagadananda Pandit and Sanatana Goswami sat together and began to discuss topics about Krishna, Sanatana Goswami submitted to Jagadananda Pandit the cause of his distress. "I came here to diminish my unhappiness by seeing Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, but the Lord did not allow me to execute what was in my mind. Although I forbid him to do so, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu nevertheless embraces me, and therefore his body becomes smeared with the discharges from my itching sores. In this way I am committing offenses at his lotus feet, and from these offenses I shall surely not be delivered. At the same time, I cannot see Lord Jagannath. This is my great unhappiness. I came here for my benefit, but now I see that I am getting just the opposite. I do not know, nor can I ascertain how there will be benefit for me. Jagadananda Pandit said, the most suitable place for you to reside is Vrindavan. After seeing the Rath Yatra festival, you can return there. The Lord has already ordered both of you brothers to situate yourselves in Vrindavan. There you will achieve all happiness. Your purpose in coming has been fulfilled, for you have seen the lotus feet of the Lord. Therefore, after seeing Lord Jagannath on the Rath Yatra car, you can leave. Sanatana Goswami replied, you have given me very good advice. I shall certainly go there, for that is the place the Lord has given me for my residence. Purport. The words Prabhu Datta Desh are very significant. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's devotional cult teaches one not to sit down in one place, but to spread the devotional cult all over the world. The Lord dispatched Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami to Vrindavan to execute and renovate the holy places, and from there establish the cult of bhakti. Therefore, Vrindavan was given to Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami as their place of residence. Similarly, everyone in the line of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's devotional cult should accept the words of the spiritual master and thus spread the Krishna consciousness movement. They should go everywhere, to all parts of the world, accepting those places as their Prabhu Datta Desh, the places of residence given by the spiritual master or Lord Krishna. The spiritual master is the representative of Lord Krishna. Therefore, one who has carried out the orders of the spiritual master is understood to have carried out the orders of Krishna, or Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to spread the bhakti cult all over the world. Pritiviti Ache Yatta Nagaradi Gram. Therefore, devotees in the line of Krishna consciousness must go to different parts of the world and preach, as ordered by the spiritual master. That will satisfy Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. After talking in this way, Sanatana Goswami and Jagadananda Pandit returned to their respective duties. The next day, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu went to see Haridasa and Sanatana Goswami. Haridasa Thakura offered obeisances to the lotus feet of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and the Lord embraced him in ecstatic love. Sanatana Goswami offered his obeisances and dandavats from a distant place, but Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu called him again and again to embrace him. Out of fear of committing offenses, Sanatana Goswami did not come forward to meet Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord, however, went forward to meet him. Sanatana Goswami backed away, but Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu caught him by force and embraced him. The Lord took them both with him and sat down in a sacred place. Then Sanatana Goswami, who was advanced in renunciation, began to speak. I came here for my benefit, he said, but I see that I am getting just the opposite. I am unfit to render service. I simply commit offenses, day after day. By nature I am low-born. I am a contaminated reservoir of sinful activities. If you touch me, sir, that will be a great offense on my part. Moreover, blood is running from the infected itching sores in my body. Smearing your body with moisture, you still touch me by force. My dear sir, you do not have even a pinch of aversion to touching my body, which is in a horrible condition. Because of this offense, everything auspicious will be vanquished for me. Therefore, I see that I will get nothing auspicious by staying here. Kindly give me orders allowing me to return to Vrindavan after the Rath Yatra festival. I have consulted Jagadananda Pandit for his opinion, and he has also advised me to return to Vrindavan. Hearing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in an angry mood, began to chastise Jagadananda Pandit. Jaga is only a new boy, but he has become so proud that he thinks himself competent to advise a person like you. In affairs of spiritual advancement, and even in ordinary dealings, you are on the level of his spiritual master. Yet not knowing his own value, he dares to advise you. My dear Sanatan, you are on the level of my advisor, for you are an authorized person. But Jaga wants to advise you. This is but an impudence of a naughty boy. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was thus chastising Jagadananda Pandit, Sanatana Goswami fell at the Lord's feet and said, I can now understand the fortunate position of Jagadananda. I can also understand my misfortune. No one in this world is as fortunate as Jagadananda. Sir, you are making Jagadananda drink the nectar of affectionate relationships, whereas by offering me honorable prayers, you are making me drink the bitter juice of Nim and Nishinda. It is my misfortune that you have not accepted me as one of your intimate relations, but you are the completely independent Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hearing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became somewhat ashamed. Just to satisfy Sanatana Goswami, he spoke the following words. My dear Sanatan, please do not think that Jagadananda is more dear to me than you. However, I cannot tolerate transgressions of the standard etiquette. You are an experienced authority in the Shastras, whereas Jaga is just a young boy. You have the power to convince even me. In many places, you have already convinced me about ordinary behavior and devotional service. Jaga's advising you is intolerable for me. Therefore, I am chastising him. I offer you praise not because I think of you as being outside an intimate relationship with me, but because you are actually so qualified that one is forced to praise your qualities. Although one has affection for many persons, different types of ecstatic love awaken according to the nature of one's personal relationships. You consider your body dangerous and awful, but I think that your body is like nectar. Actually, your body is transcendental, never material. You are thinking of it, however, in terms of a material conception. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives his opinion about how a person completely engaged in the service of the Lord transforms his body from material to transcendental. He says, a pure devotee engaged in the service of Lord Krishna has no desire for his personal sense gratification, and thus he never accepts anything for that purpose. He desires only the happiness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. And because of his ecstatic love for Krishna, he acts in various ways. Karmis think that the material body is an instrument for material enjoyment, and that is why they work extremely hard. A devotee, however, has no such desires. A devotee always engages wholeheartedly in the service of the Lord, forgetting about bodily conceptions and bodily activities. The body of a karmi is called material because the karmi, being too absorbed in material activities, is always eager to enjoy material facilities. But the body of a devotee who tries his best to work very hard for the satisfaction of Krishna by fully engaging in the Lord's service must be accepted as transcendental. Whereas karmis are interested only in the personal satisfaction of their senses. Devotees work for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, one who cannot distinguish between devotion and ordinary karma may mistakenly consider the body of a pure devotee material. One who knows does not commit such a mistake. Non-devotees who consider devotional activities and ordinary material activities to be on the same level are offenders to the chanting of the transcendental holy name of the Lord. A pure devotee knows that a devotee's body, being always transcendental, is just suitable for rendering service to the Lord. A devotee on the topmost platform of devotional service always humbly thinks that he is not rendering any devotional service. He thinks that he is poor in devotional service, and that his body is material. On the other hand, those known as the sahajas foolishly think that their material bodies are transcendental. Because of this, they are always bereft of the association of pure devotees, and thus they cannot behave like Vaishnavas. Observing the defects of the sahajas, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura has sung as follows in his book Kalyana Kalpataru: Amita Vaishnava e buddhi haile, amhani na haba ami, pratishdasha asi hridaya dushibe, haiba nirayagami. Nije shreshta jani, ushtishtadi dani, habi abhimana bhara, tai shishyatava, takiya sarvada, na laibe pujakara. If I think I am a Vaishnava, I shall look forward to receiving respect from others. And if the desire for fame and reputation pollutes my heart, certainly I shall go to hell. By giving others the remnants of my food, I shall consider myself superior and shall be burdened with the weight of false pride. Therefore, always remaining your surrendered disciple, I shall not accept worship from anyone else. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has written, Premara Svabhava Yahan Premara Sambandha Se Mani Krishna Mora Nahi Premaganda. Wherever there is a relationship of love of Godhead, the natural symptoms are that the devotee does not think himself a devotee, but always thinks that he has not even a drop of love for Krishna. Even if your body were material, I could not neglect it, for the material body should be considered neither good nor bad. This is so deep. It's so deep, so wonderful. This is teaching us how to think in devotional service. Devotional service is not an external activity of the body or even of the mind, but this is real devotional service, teaching us how to feel and how to will and how to be, how to think about different things properly, how to think of oneself properly. Anyway, you are already doing it. Krishna. Purport. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu told Sanatana Goswami, since you are a Vaishnava, your body is spiritual, not material. Therefore, you should not consider this body to be subjected to superior or inferior qualities. Moreover, I am a sannyasi. Therefore, even if your body were material, a sannyasi should see no distinction between a good body and a bad body. Prabhupada. I got to read that purport again. This is so wonderful. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu told Sanatana Goswami, since you are a Vaishnava, your body is spiritual, not material. Therefore, you should not consider this body to be subjected to superior or inferior qualities. Moreover, I am a sannyasi. Therefore, even if your body were material, a sannyasi should see no distinction between a good body and a bad body. Anything not conceived in relationship to Krishna should be understood to be illusion, Maya. None of the illusions uttered by words or conceived in the mind are factual. Because illusion is not factual, there is no distinction between what we think is good and what we think is bad. When we speak of the absolute truth, such speculations do not apply. Purport. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 11.28.4. In the material world, conceptions of good and bad are all mental speculations. Therefore, saying this is good and this is bad is all a mistake. Oh, Krishna. Purport. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the absolute truth, ever existing with different varieties of energies. When one is absorbed in the illusory energy of Krishna and cannot understand Krishna, one cannot ascertain what is good for him and what is bad. Conceptions of good and bad are all imaginations or mental speculations. When one forgets that he is an eternal servant of Krishna, he wants to enjoy the material world through different plans. At that time, he distinguishes between material plans that are good and those that are bad. Actually, however, they are all false. The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater. Now I want to point out, this is a verse from Bhagavad Gita, and it is a verse of Caitanya-caritamrta. This is not in the purport, this is a verse. So Lord Chaitanya is preaching to Sanatana Goswami in the last part of his pastimes, the Bhagavad Gita. So we should never think that the Bhagavad Gita is less important. If we do, then we're in this platform that Prabhupada was talking about. Seeing one thing is good and another thing, not bad, but there's no difference. And here's another one. Jnana Vijnana Triptatma Kutasto Vichitendriyaha Yukta It Yuchite Yogi Somalostrash Pakinchana. This is text 178 of the Caitanya-caritamrta, and it is the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verse 8. One who is fully satisfied in knowledge obtained and practically applied in life, who is always determined and fixed in his spiritual position, who completely controls his senses, and who sees pebbles, stones, and gold on the same level, is understood to be a perfect yogi. Since I am in the renounced order, my duty is to make no distinctions and be equipoised. My knowledge must be equally disposed towards sandalwood pulp and dirty mud. Purport. It is a duty of a sannyasi, a person in the renounced order, to be always equipoised, and that is also the duty of a learned man and a Vaishnava. A Vaishnava, a sannyasi, or a learned person, has no conception of the material world. In other words, he has no conception of anything materially important. He has no desire to use sandalwood pulp for sense gratification, nor does sense gratification make him hate mud. Acceptance or rejection of material things is not the concern of a sannyasi, a Vaishnava, or a learned person. An advanced devotee has no desire to enjoy or reject anything. His only duty is to accept whatever is favorable for the advancement of Krishna consciousness. A Vaishnava should be indifferent to material enjoyment and renunciation, and should always hanker for the spiritual life of rendering service to the Lord. Text 180. For this reason I cannot reject you. If I hated you, I would deviate from my occupational duty. Haridasa said, My dear Lord, what you have spoken deals with external formalities. I do not accept it. My Lord, we are all fallen, but you have accepted us due to your attribute of being merciful to the fallen. This is well known over the world, all over the world. Lord Chaitanya smiled and said, Listen, Haridasa and Sanatan, now I am speaking the truth about how my mind is attached to you. My dear Haridasa and Sanatan, I think of you as my little boys, to be maintained by me. The maintainer never takes seriously any faults of the maintained. Don't argue with Lord Chaitanya. Purport. When a father maintains a child and the child is maintained by the father never takes seriously the faults of the child, even if they actually are faults. The father does not mind them. I always think of myself as deserving no respect, but because of affection, I always consider you to be like my little children. When a child passes stool and urine that touch the body of the mother never hates the child. On the contrary, she takes much pleasure in cleansing him. The stool and urine of the maintained child appear like sandalwood pulp to the mother. Similarly, when the foul moisture oozing from the sores of Sanatana touches my body, I have no hatred for him. Haridasa Thakur said, My dear sir, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead and are most merciful toward us. No one can understand what is within your deeply affectionate heart. You embraced the leper Vasudeva, whose body was fully infected by worms. You were so kind that in spite of his condition, you embraced him. By embracing him, you made his body as beautiful as that of Cupid. We cannot understand the waves of your mercy. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu said, the body of a devotee is never material. It is considered to be transcendental, full of spiritual bliss. Purport. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is trying to convince Haridasa Thakur and Sanatana Goswami that a devotee whose life is dedicated to the service of the Lord is never in the material conception. Because he always engages in the service of the Lord, his body is transcendental and full of spiritual bliss. One should never consider his body material, just as one should never consider the body of the deity worshipped in the temple to be made of stone or wood. Factually, the deity is directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead, without a doubt. The injunctions of the Padma Purana therefore state, Arche Vishnau, Srila, dear, Gurushu, Naramatir, Vaishnave, Jati Buddhi, Yasyava, Naraki Saha. That person is a resident of hell who considers the deity worshipped in the temple to be stone or wood, who considers the spiritual master an ordinary man, and who thinks that the body of a Vaishnava, fully dedicated to the service of the Lord, belongs to the material modes of nature. At the time of initiation, when the devotee fully surrenders under the service of the Lord, Krishna accepts him to be as good as himself. Shall I repeat that? At the time of initiation, when a devotee fully surrenders under the service of the Lord, Krishna accepts him to be as good as himself. When the devotee's body is thus transformed into spiritual existence, the devotee, in that transcendental body, render service to the lotus feet of the Lord. The living entity who is subjected to birth and death attains immortality when he gives up all material activities, dedicates his life to the execution of my order, and acts according to my directions. In this way he becomes fit to enjoy the spiritual bliss derived from exchanging loving mellows with me. Purport. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 11:29-34. At the time of initiation, a devotee gives up all his material conceptions. Therefore, being in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is situated on the transcendental platform. Thus, having attained knowledge and the spiritual platform, he always engages in the service of the spiritual body of Krishna. When one is free from material connections in this way, his body immediately becomes spiritual, and Krishna accepts his service. However, Krishna does not accept anything from a person with a material conception of life. When a devotee no longer has any desire for material sense gratification, in his spiritual identity, he engages in the service of the Lord, for his dormant spiritual consciousness awakens. This awakening of spiritual consciousness makes his body spiritual, and thus he becomes fit. I'll read that again. This awakening of spiritual consciousness makes his body spiritual, and thus he becomes fit to render service to the Lord. Karmis may consider the body of a devotee material, but factually it is not, for a devotee has no conception of material enjoyment. If one thinks that the body of a pure devotee is material, he is an offender, for that is a Vaishnava aparad. In this connection, one should consult Srila Sanatana Goswami's Brihad Bhagavatamrita 1.345 and 2.3.139. Prabhupada's scholarship is impeccable. Krishna somehow or other manifested these itching sores on the body of Sanatana Goswami and sent him here to test me. Did anyone hear that? This is Lord Chaitanya speaking. Krishna somehow or other manifested these itching sores on the body of Sanatana Goswami and sent him here to test me. If I had hated Sanatana Goswami and had not embraced him, I would certainly have been chastised for offenses to Krishna. As they say, if it's good enough for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's good enough for us. Sanatana Goswami is one of the associates of Krishna. There could not be any bad odor from his body. On the first day I embraced him, I smelled the aroma of chatuksama, a mixture of sandalwood pulp, camphor, aguru, and musk. Purport. An associate of the Lord is one whose body is fully engaged in the service of the Lord. A materialist might see Sanatana Goswami's body as being full of itching sores that exuded foul moisture and a bad smell. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, however, said that actually the aroma of his body was the excellent scent of a mixture of sandalwood pulp, camphor, musk, and aguru. In the Garuda Purana, this mixture, which is called chatukshana, is described as follows: 2 parts of musk, 4 parts of sandalwood, 3 parts of aguru or saffron, and 1 part of camphor, when mixed together, form chatukshana, chama. The aroma of chatuksama is very pleasing. It is also mentioned in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, text 198. In fact, however, when Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu embraced the body of Sanatana Goswami, by the Lord's touch alone, there was manifested a fragrance exactly like that of sandalwood pulp.
I haven't seen that in action.
Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu continued, "My dear Sanatana, do not be aggrieved, for when I embrace you, I actually get great pleasure." Stay with me in Jagannath Puri for 1 year, and after that, I shall send you to Vrindavan. After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again embraced Sanatana Goswami. Thus, immediately, Sanatana's sores disappeared, and his entire body resembled the color of gold. Seeing the change, Haridasa Thakur, greatly astonished, told the Lord, "This is your pastime. My dear Lord, you made Sanatana Goswami drink the water of Jharkhanda, and you actually generated the consequent itching sores in his body. After thus causing these itching sores, you examined Sanatana Goswami. No one can understand your transcendental pastimes." After embracing both Haridasa Thakur and Sanatana Goswami, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu returned to his residence. Then Haridasa Thakur and Sanatana Goswami, in great ecstatic love, began to describe the Lord's transcendental attributes. In this way, Sanatana Goswami stayed under the care of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu and discussed the transcendental qualities of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu with Haridasa Thakur. After they saw the Dola Yatra festival, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Sanatana Goswami fully about what to do in Vrindavan and bade him farewell. The scene of separation that took place when Sanatana Goswami and Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu took leave of each other is so piteous that it cannot be described herein. Sanatana Goswami decided to go to Vrindavan by the very forest path Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu had traversed. Sanatana Goswami noted from Balabhadra Bhattacharya all the villages, rivers and hills where Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu had performed his pastimes. Sanatana Goswami met all the devotees of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu and then, traveling by that same path, visited the places through which Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu had passed. Purport. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes a song, Gora Amara Ye Sabastane Karala Brahmanarange Se Sabastana Hariba Ami Pranayi Vakata Sange. May I visit all the holy places associated with the Leelas of Lord Chaitanya and his devotees. A devotee should make a point of visiting all the places where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed his pastimes. Indeed, pure devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu even want to see the places he simply visited for only hours or minutes. As soon as Sanatana Goswami visited a place where Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu had performed his pastimes on the way, he was immediately filled with ecstatic love. In this way, Sanatana Goswami reached Vrindavan. Later, Rupa Goswami came and met him. Srila Rupa Goswami had been delayed in Bengal for a year because he was dividing his money among his relatives to situate them in their proper positions. Purport. Although Srila Rupa Goswami renounced his family life, he nevertheless was not unjust to his family members. Even after renunciation, he returned to Bengal, where he properly divided whatever money he had and gave it to his relatives so that they would not be inconvenienced. He collected whatever money he had accumulated in Bengal and divided it among his relatives, the brahmanas, and the temples. Thus, after finishing all the tasks he had in his mind, he returned to Vrindavan, fully satisfied. The brothers then met at Vrindavan, where they stayed to execute the will of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Purport. Sri Caitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who was established within the material world, the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami were previously ministers directly in charge of the government of Nawab Hussain Shah, and they were also householders, but later they became Goswamis. A Goswami, therefore, is one who executes the will of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. The title Goswami is not an inherited designation. It is meant for a person who has controlled his sense gratification and dedicated his life to executing the order of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, Srila Sanatana Goswami and Srila Rupa Goswami became genuine Goswamis after dedicating their lives to the service of the Lord. Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami collected many revealed scriptures, and from the evidence in those scriptures, they excavated all the lost sites of pilgrimage. Thus they established temples for the worship of Lord Krishna. Srila Sanatana Goswami compiled the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. From this book, one can understand who is a devotee, what is the process of devotional service, and who is Krishna, the absolute truth. Srila Sanatana Goswami wrote a commentary on the 10th canto known as Dashama Tipani, from which we can understand the transcendental pastimes and ecstatic love of Lord Krishna. He also compiled the Hari Bhakti Vilas, from which we can understand the standard behavior of a devotee and the full extent of a Vaishnava's duty. Purport. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati writes, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura writes, the Hari Bhakti Vilas was originally compiled by Srila Sanatana Goswami. Later, Gopal Bhatta Goswami produced a shortened version of it and added the Digdarshana Tika. In the Hari Bhakti Vilas, there are so many quotations from the Sattvata scriptures that sometimes it is inquired how the atheistic smartas can refuse to accept them and instead imagine some other opinions. What is recorded in the Hari Bhakti Vilas strictly follows the Vedic scriptures and is certainly pure, but the attitude of the karmis is always one of giving up the conclusions of pure Vaishnava understanding. Because the karmis are very much attached to the world and material activities, they always try to establish atheistic principles that oppose the understanding of Vaishnavas. Srila Sanatana Goswami also compiled many other books. Who can enumerate them? The basic principle of all these books is to show us how to love Madan Mohan and Govindaji. Purport. The Bhakti Ratnakar refers to the following books by Srila Sanatana Goswami. 1. Brihad Bhagavatamrita. 2. The Hari Bhakti Vilas and his commentary known as Digdarshani. 3. The Krishna-lila Stava. And 4. The commentary on the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam known as Vaishnava Toshani. Sanatana Goswami compiled many books, all with the aim of describing how to serve the principal deities of Vrindavan, Govinda, and Madan Gopal. Later, other deities were gradually established, and the importance of Vrindavan increased. Srila Rupa Goswami also wrote many books, the most famous of which is the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. From that book one can understand the essence of devotional service to Krishna and the transcendental mellows that one can derive from such service. Srila Rupa Goswami also compiled a book named Ujjvala Nilamani, from which one can understand to the fullest limits the loving affairs of Sri Radha and Krishna. Srila Rupa Goswami also compiled two important dramas named Vidagdha Madhava and Lalita Madhava, from which one can understand all the mellows derived from the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Srila Rupa Goswami compiled 100,000 verses, beginning with the book Dana Keli Komudi. In all these scriptures, he elaborately explained the transcendental mellows of the activities of Vrindavan. Purport. Referring to the words Laksha Granta, 100,000 verses, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that the total number of verses written by Srila Rupa Goswami is 100,000, Eka Laksha, or Laksha Granta. The copyists count both the verses and the prose sections of the Sanskrit works. One should not mistakenly think that Srila Rupa Goswami compiled 100,000 books. He actually wrote 16 books, as mentioned in the first wave of the Bhakti Ratnakara, Sri Rupa Goswami Grantha Shodashakarila. The son of Sri Vallabha, or Anupam, Srila Rupa Goswami's younger brother, was the great learned scholar named Srila Jiva Goswami. After renouncing everything, Srila Goswami went to Vrindavan. Later, he also wrote many books on devotional service and expanded the work of preaching. In particular, Jiva Goswami compiled the book named Bhagavat Sandarbha, or Shat Sandarbha, which is the essence of all scriptures. From this book, one can obtain a conclusive understanding of devotional service and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He also compiled the book named Gopal Champu, which is the essence of all Vedic literature. In this book, he has exhibited the ecstatic, loving transactions and pastimes of Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. In the Shat Sandarbha, Srila Jiva Goswami set forth the truths about transcendental love of Krishna. In this way, he expanded 400,000 verses in all of his books. 400,000 verses. When Jiva Goswami wanted to go to Mathura from Bengal, he requested permission from Srila Nityananda Prabhu. Because of Jiva Goswami's relationship with Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, who were greatly favored by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda Prabhu placed his feet on the head of Jiva Goswami and embraced him. Lord Nityananda ordered, "Yes, go soon to Vrindavan. That place has been awarded to your family, to your father and uncles by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and therefore you must go there immediately." How many more pages do we have to go? The end of the chapter.
Only 2 more.
2 more pages.
Yeah.
Okay.
Only four verses.
By the order of Nityananda Prabhu, he went to Vrindavan and actually achieved the result of his order, for he compiled many books for a long time and preached the cult of bhakti from there. These three, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and Jiva Goswami, are my spiritual masters, and so also is Raghunath Das Goswami. I therefore offer prayers at their lotus feet, for I am their servant. Thus I have described how the Lord again met with Sanatana Goswami. By hearing this, I can understand the Lord's desires. These characteristics of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu are like sugar cane that one can chew to relish transcendental juice. Sri Rupa Sanata, Sri Rupa Raghunatha Pariyara Ash, Caitanya-caritamrta, Kahe Krishna Das. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Sri Caitanya-caritamrta, following in their footsteps. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Caitanya-caritamrta Antya-lila, 4th chapter, describing Sanatana Goswami's stay with the Lord at Jagannath Puri.
Wonderful.
Hare Krishna. I didn't want to make the mistake of last time, and I wasn't sure how many more verses were relevant, but so I just had to keep going. But anyway, I'm sorry to keep you up so late. You went to the
Very interesting.
You went to the picnic and this and that, but I couldn't stop. Forgive me. May the Lord and the Vaishnavas forgive me. Hare Krishna. But maybe you can get a drop of understanding of why I'm so attached to this section of Caitanya-caritamrta. The instructions in these purports and verses on how to behave as a Vaishnava and how to feel, think, feel, and will as a Vaishnava are so profound and so ecstatic. And if we hear them over and over again, it will seep in gradually. And our conceptions will change. And our behavior will change. And we'll be purified by whatever misconceptions and bad habits are there in our consciousness. And then we can become an associate of Lord Chaitanya. Hare Krishna. We don't have time for reflections. So now tomorrow, there's a meeting between me and the management here at 4 o'clock.